We are live, we are recording, and we are back with my boy Medicine, aka Roman.
Yep.
All right, so here we go. Just to catch you up to speed, I've been recording for well over an hour and a half. Gonna be chopped up, gonna be a lot shorter video once it does finally get out there, but you already know what we're talking about. GA's Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. I want to show you a little video by my boy here, iSloshy, and get a few of your opinions. We'll run through it really quick. He stops talking about halfway through, so we'll get your opinions on what he says. He does kind of wrap things up in a way where we don't have to watch a 2-hour long video, but perhaps get into this here and there to show you a few things to get opinions from. Most of these are not active pro players, and then some pro players chime in via, voice. Their pictures are not here, but they chime in via voice. So I have a couple other things pulled up on here. We'll get into that in a minute. These tabs up here. Anyways, I'm gonna let it play. Let me know how the volume is, and feel free to chime in. Let me know when to pause it, etc. This is your time to shine, my boy.
Snaking has been a COD for several years now, and it allows you to stay alive in certain situations where you should definitely be.
Now, some of these things he says I do or don't agree with, and I think it will be similar for you. So chime in wherever you'd like. When you start to talk, I can pause it, and so on and so forth.
Dead by bobbing your head up and down behind cover to make yourself almost unkillable on a head glitch. Now in this video I'm going to be covering the topic of snaking and the recent ban of snaking by CDL pro players. So
subscribe to my boy,
Sloshy, and a sub to the channel. Now let's get into this video. Now, although snaking is great to use in the gameplay and it's super fun sometimes, when you get in 1v2, you hit a few snakes and you outplay that 1v2 situation, it does completely change the way.
Let me just cut him off here. Actually, I see a lot of people talking about snaking, but how many people have we actually seen examples of? I'm going to get some examples of me doing my best snaking impressions later on. We're going to add that in just so we're clear on what this whole snaking thing is referring to. I'll add in some of my gameplay later.
In the older Call of Duty games, if you're in a 1v2 behind cover, yeah, you might be able to crouch
because
behind cover.
This guy is obviously not a pro player.
Make yourself unkillable, and especially when you add in
and
systems as well.
He obviously doesn't really snake.
You can hop.
This is Medicine's turn. Snaking me. I'm gonna walk down with some auto sprint.
The enemy holds the lead. Clock ticking.
And are you getting full sight of me every time?
Yes.
And barely anything of his head is popping up. Now you can shoot me. Try to kill me. Ooh. Like a whack-a-mole. One more thing I do want to do is I want us to both go try hard and do it to each other. So I'm going to get on the other end, the same AC, and just see what fucking happens.
You want a snake?
Both of us.
Oh.
Like you on that one, me on this one. So
Tell me when, bro.
Here's our Mythbusters attempt to both snake. And yeah, go try hard on me, try to kill me, time it however you want, drop down for a minute, maybe you don't bob up and down as many times, but whatever you do, gotta stay behind the AC unit. Alright, starting, let's start on our ground, this fucking, what do they call this? Oklahoma drill. Alright. On your damn stomach. Alright, 3, 2, 1. I'm host, y'all. That's all it is.
No, you're not.
Xbox, record that. Oh yeah, I'm not. My PC's about to blow up though. Alright, shit. Is it good? Do I suck? Yes and yes. Nah, but let me know what you think. We're gonna get Medicine's POV as well. So I've heard Season 1 of Modern Warfare 3 comes out December 6th, and supposedly snaking is getting a nerf. Will it be a cooldown? Will it be slower? I am on automatic sprint right now, and not bad. Would I keep doing it? Maybe. Probably not, though, because the time it's going to take me to worry about snaking, I'm not worrying about my flank or my left or my back. Maybe in a 1v1 like S&D, but in that case, I mean, what's worse, giving them your position or just laying down and sound whoring? You know, I don't even know, but let me know your opinions down below. That's snaking for you.
Where they just snake, they know where the enemy is, and they're just snaking the same spot over and over again for 20-30 seconds, counting down the timer. And the only way they're winning the game is just by snaking. It's not their gun skill, it's not the map positioning. It's just they've chosen.
All right, well, you could probably pause it for a second. I mean, just off the bat, it's almost impossible. When you play, you're in a flow state, right? So asking players to just, okay, now you can only snake once or twice, and then you have to play. Like you're asking people to overthink their gameplay and slow themselves down, you know? And it's just unnatural. It's just completely unnatural.
I agree, and you have a point there. I mean, because the player, if they want to be good, if they want to compete and win, they adapt to the game, and they don't do that because they want to be cheesy. They do that because, just like I said, they want to compete and they want to win. It's not our fault that it's in the game. You know what I mean? So,
yeah,
we're gonna do what feels right to get the kill, etc.
The map where they can't get shot, and they're just using a broken mechanic.
I actually paused it at the exact same time right here when I was watching it, because it did throw me off a little bit when he's saying, oh shit.
Some bullets and then shoot back. It's when
hold on a second.
The same.
Yeah.
Also, he said something about people snake and waste time just to win the game. Like, if you really think that is what's causing, you know, or what's turning the game one way or the other, like, I think that's a bit of a stretch. That's a bit of a reach.
Totally agree, and that's what I was going to get into. He states it right here. Let's hear what he has to say. The only way they're winning the game is just by snaking. And he further goes on to say, not by gun skill, not by map positioning. So you're telling me that only by snaking you're getting beat, and you're, at least for Sloshy, again, Sloshy, not hating, but you're essentially saying that if that was not in the game, that you would be beating your opponent who is snaking and not the other way around. And that is a claim that I'm not too sure would stack up with reality, honestly. But, you know, what do you have to say about that?
No, I think you're right. I think it's just a cope for people to criticize so that they can feel better about themselves.
100%, and that's going to happen, and it's happened since the dawn of time. I do it all the time, and I rage and I say things, but that doesn't mean, luckily I'm not a developer, and luckily I'm not put in the position to make decisions on these sort of things. I just play, enjoy the game, try to win. You feel me?
Positioning. It's just they've chosen a spot on the map where they can't get shot, and they're just using a broken mechanic of just bobbing their head up and down, where the other person can't do anything except potentially snake back and wait for them to bob their head up and shoot back. Now, recently on...
So he does mention that, and he hits it on the head right there. You could do the same thing back to them, and then now, is it equal now? Is it equal now, or are you still going to complain? And I think what happens a lot of the time is, instead of adapting to the game, people are not going to adapt. I've seen it in many players, friends, and people that I don't know, where they don't adapt and they're not as good because of that.
Yo.
Joey, otherwise known as J. Luke.
Yes, sir.
If you want, tune into the stream, honestly. You can throw in your opinion at any time.
What are you streaming right now?
I'm recording.
What are you talking about?
We are talking about GAs. We are talking about snaking we are getting the facts on it and just kind of saying our opinion on it.
All right.
So feel free to tune in. Shout out J. Lou.
Appreciate it,
We're gonna
Jacob.
we're gonna
Thanks,
try
buddy.
to play here very soon, but yeah, let's continue on with the video. We're watching iSloshy right now, and he kind of wraps up a lot of what was said in the Flank podcast with Zuma, Parasite, Octane, Aches, etc. This guy, don't know. He's probably their all relative uncle. But
Are they all agreeing with him? I'm kind of confused.
we will run that back.
Who?
And
Zuma and all them.
again, CDL GAs are insane. One day ago, like this is a kind of a big topic in the Call of Duty community. Early on, not even 3 weeks into the release of the game. Are we 3 weeks now? We might be 3 weeks, about to be a month, but
Yeah, it's about a little over 3 weeks now.
let's go back to the video. Feel free to chime
On
in.
the podcast that is called The Flank, that's hosted by Zuma, Parasite, and other pro players such as Aches, they've recently been discussing a lot of the GAs. Now, these GAs are called gentlemen's agreements, and they're essentially things they want to ban in the game, but there's no official way of banning it in the settings. So they have a gentleman's agreement to kind of mutually agree to not use something. For example, it's GA to only have 2 trophy systems on a team rather than all 4 people running a trophy. Now, there isn't an exact setting in the game where you can force a team to only use 2
Sloshy,
trophy
my boy.
systems, and this is where the GA
About
comes into
nated
place,
himself.
where it's just mutually agreed that each team is going to run 2 trophies and 2 people won't use field upgrades. So during this podcast, they recently discussed snaking, and especially Parasite. I feel like Parasite brought us some really good.
So what he's saying there is what they're trying to GA and supposedly have is 1 smoke per team on S&D, 2 trophy systems per team on hardpoint. Any opinions?
I think
Okay.
I think that's much more fair than trying to ban something like snaking.
Totally agree. Totally agree, because that's something that can be not only objectively viewed by anyone and potentially reprimanded, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
you can, if you're equipped with the knowledge, you can prevent yourself from doing such things, and it's going to have a simple either use or do not use. You know what I mean? It's not a
Right.
how many times do you crouch up and down? How many times do you spam it in order for it to be considered a sneak or whatever?
Well, just on the trophy, if you have 4 trophies on a map, no one's ever getting a nade kill. It's almost impossible to get a nade kill. So you're basically eliminating nades.
I would even go to say that you are more likely to kill your damn self with a nade than you are someone else with a fucking, if they're running 4 fucking trophies, because that's happened to me already where I try to throw a Simtex across, but because they have a trophy
Right.
that is right next to me, and God forbid I didn't notice that there wasn't a little blue circle above it, I just blow up and die, and we could lose fucking rotation, we could lose fucking,
Right.
spawn, like, so I don't mind about the fucking trophy system shit. I mean, most people don't even honestly if we were to play, I'm not going to run 4 trophies on my team, and like anyone who wants to, like, go right ahead. But I think most teams will understand that it's not viable to do so. Therefore, I don't think it's really that necessary even, but
Good points about Snake and how it probably should be GA'd. And during this podcast, they were also saying that any GAs that come from the COD Pro teams, that there's kind of 1 representative from each pro player team, and that for all the 12 teams in the CDL, in order to get something passed through as a GA, you have to get 9 out of 12 votes to have a majority yes vote in the GA. So it's not just a 50-50, it has to be a really high majority of teams willing to
Well, can we
GA.
pause it there for a second? Again, and we've talked about this before. Why are we letting players, just a small amount of players, dictate to everybody else what we can and can't do?
great point. So we can go in depth on that, because it is
It's like a player association type of thing.
totally, that's what it is.
They make their own rules to make the gameplay run smoother, in
But
their opinion.
For sure.
totally, in their opinion, good point. I just want to use something. I've said this to both of you, but just I have it pulled up. Very interesting thing here. Like he just said previously, and like they talk about on the flank on Zuma's podcast, whatever. It is common knowledge that there are 12 teams, and just to show you, here are the 12 teams: Atlanta, Boston, etc. 12 teams. And some of these teams vary in roster size. Some could potentially be a coach. Some of these are substitutes. Some have 4. I think the most I've seen was them. They have 7. Definitely a coach and a sub in there. But let's just talk about statistics here. I believe that medicine is right. We are allowing, they said, 1 representative for every team. There's 12 teams, and they come to a collective agreement. So you can argue, let's add up all the players. Well, I've already done it. Adding up every player in the league right now, 55 pro players exist for the North American Call of Duty CDL, right?
Yeah.
Buffalo Bills. Let's just count. Again, I've already done this. 75 players currently on their roster. But let's just chop that down a little bit. Let's just say there's 50 per team in the NFL. 50 per team in the NFL. Quick math, 50 times 32 teams. That is 1,600 players. Statistically speaking, everyone and anyone watching has a higher statistical chance to become a NFL player than they do a fucking CDL player, if my math is correct here. And although I've spoke about before, obviously not everyone is going to have the aptitude for the NFL, same as the aptitude for the CDL. But now we're narrowing it down to a very, very minute group who nonetheless have already gained the top of the top in terms of leagues that they could possibly be in. They are at the top of the top. This is a CDL. They are all making salary. Whether they win or not, every player on these rosters have a salary. So why would they not want to make the game as we can't all be non-biased. We're all going to be biased to some degree. And what we think is good for the game is inherently going to be good for us most of the time. Would you agree?
Yeah.
So with that being said, like you mentioned, you're allowing a very small, minute group to control what apparently everyone is trying to then implement because, we all have aspirations to join the CDL. But there's literally, out of a potential 6 digits or more, hundreds of thousands of players. And that's just in the competitive community, who were first off even giving people like these people the money to do what they do. Why would they not have a say when they're the ones supplying the money via merchandise, via views, whether it's ad revenue, etc.? Why is it that the players at the top of the mountain get to say what the players at the bottom of the mountain can or cannot do? I digress.
I mean, of course, they'll say, it affects us the most, not us as in me and you, but the top players. It affects them the most. They bring in the most money for the league. But it affects so many more people.
Most definitely.
Than just their league.
And we're talking about what will become the BPL. There's talks of the BPL, another league below the CDL. You have Challenger Series. Honestly,
What was that, Joey?
BPL is breaking point. Is that
BPL
new? Is that a new website?
Breaking Point. You're right. Shout out Joey. So yeah, Breaking Point, BPL. That's going to be another league that people play in. That now you're potentially going to be reprimanded. I don't think so, honestly, because similar to what a lot of people are saying, is it's kind of impossible to regulate these things, and people are expecting other people to just gentleman's agreement and say, "Oh, you're right. The movement is overpowered, so I'm
Well,
not going to do it."
I mean,
Whenever
we joined an 8s the other day, and
Facts.
someone was using iron sight, and they were, getting on our asses about using an iron sight
Facts.
on an
Facts.
AR. And we were like,
Facts. That's
okay.
a great point. Modern Warfare 2, no one complained about iron sight on the Scar, and it was arguably the most OP gun in the game. You could run around it with it like it was a SMG, and you get a headshot, you're going to beat somebody with the MP7. That's just how it is. And no one complained about that. And if they did, it still went on. The world went on, and everyone lived, everyone used the gun. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But now they're saying literally in the H lobby that we can't run the MCW without a reflex sight or an MK3 fucking sight. So it's like, where do you draw the line sometimes?
Yeah, exactly.
As you can see on the screen here from this tweet from CDL Intel, you can see that snaking, as of last night, was actually officially GA'd by the pro teams. So over 9 out of these 12 teams have voted yes. I believe some of the teams that voted no were obviously phased, because some players like Celium were one of the ones who kind of brought snaking into the game.
Celium
And the big
is
argument
making
that was
the
happening
most.
on the flank
Right.
was that even though snaking is kind of part and parcel of the game now, a lot of the kind of
He's going to
younger
say
pros obviously
something
grew up on
interesting
snaking,
here.
whereas a lot of
Listen
the
up.
older pros, snaking wasn't really a thing back in the day. So you got this kind of
Staking's always been a thing.
double-edged sword of
Literally.
There we go. There we go. Let's see what he has to say. We're going to play that back a little bit, and I'm going to let you both chime in definitely, because this is what I
I mean,
mentioned.
they've tried GAing
part and
snaking
parcel of the game
the
now. A
war.
lot
It's never worked.
Since what? Since what game?
World at War. Remember back in
I thought
GBs,
that
you
was
weren't
the
allowed to
one.
snake.
I thought that was the
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
of the
Let's
kind of
hear what he
younger
has to
pros
say,
obviously
and then
grew up on
definitely I want to
snaking,
hear
whereas a lot
that.
of the older pros, snaking
He says the younger pros grew up on snaking, whereas the older pros
wasn't really a thing back in
wasn't
the day.
really a
So you
thing.
got this
I mean,
kind of
he's just demonstrating his ignorance. Like, no offense, but anyone who's been playing, competitively since COD 4, World at War knows that snaking has been a thing.
100%.
Facts. You cannot deny that. Let's see what he has to say.
double-edged sword of the new players are used to snaking, that's all they've ever known, whereas the older players know that snaking is a new mechanic and it is already a bit busted. So you've got the new players that are used to playing how they play and don't want to change it, and then you've got the players who are used to playing how they play and want to go back to the old style of COD. It'd be interesting to hear your guys' comments in the comment section below on what you think of snaking. Personally, I think that snaking should be removed. I think, like I said, it can be great to use in some 1v2 situations, but it does.
So going back to what he was saying though, snaking has existed in certain games and it's relevant in certain games. Like I stated already, I haven't heard the word GA in my life until 2023. Maybe I heard it a little bit in MW2, and I probably didn't even know what they were referring to.
I've heard of it since like World War II, bro.
Right.
At least.
Right. I think I started in the middle of kind of Call of Duty, me starting in Black Ops 2. I never heard it in Black Ops 2. I never heard it in Ghost. And if I did, I didn't give a fuck. Just like now, I still really don't care because I am competing to beat players. And I kind of use the example, whereas I was playing on Potato. I was playing with a Potato router, getting 1 bar of Wi-Fi with 40 ping in Mississippi, playing literally against pros, and I'm able to hang with them. So I need as a player to put myself in the best position possible to beat and to win and to not waste my money when I enter tournaments. I want to win money. So why would I agree to be a quote unquote gentleman, just so that everyone is happier and they're not getting mad that I'm snaking? Like,
Yeah.
You don't have to abide by it. That's the thing.
right.
that you kind of
I mean, how would you even enforce that? I mean, in terms of snaking, like,
100%.
he laid down one too many times.
Exactly. And
like,
when you're playing
what's gonna
against
happen?
people, everyone on ranked already on MW2, if you played it, you already know. And same with pretty much previous CODs as well. You're getting fucked up. You're gonna make any complaint about the other player, and most definitely, if it even slightly looks like they're doing it, it's gonna be a whole new argument, and it's gonna be nonstop, and it's gonna be unenforceable. And so, therefore, why even bring it up, and why has it become such a big thing? That's kind of my view on it. Now, his video stops at about 5 minutes, and then the rest is gameplay. He might say something interesting here. Again, feel free to chime in whenever. After this, I do want to show a particular opinion from both Parasite and Aches here, because they both kind of go against what each other are saying. And
Okay.
it'll be able to kind of wrap up this whole debate here.
in the gameplay, and especially with trophy systems. Like I said, in them search and destroy 1v1 situations, it just gets super cheesy when you just see, if you run into a room and you just see someone bobbing their head up and down repeatedly, you're just like, you can't do anything. You have to literally sit there and just accept your death, die, and move on to the next round.
So on this, I'm
I
probably
mean,
talking
I
a little
totally
much
disagree. I
here.
totally disagree with that.
Go ahead.
There's just so much you can do if you see somebody on a heady snaking. Like, to think like you just have to run out in the open and chow and, well, okay, I'm gonna die. Like, it's just a defeatist mindset.
100%. And this kind of triggered me as well watching this part of the video, because what is annoying to me as a player, especially a player, which I hate to even bring this up, but I do, and I don't mind it one bit. So I don't hate it. These pros, let's just remember, they have a Mercedes, and they have a BMW, they have a whatever Mustang Hellcat in the front yard. They have a PC that is 3 times, if not 4, if not literally 5 times the cost of my PC. They're running specs literally 3 times better than my PC. And even when I competed at a younger age, we're talking about I mean, that's a whole nother debate going into PC versus console, but we're dealing with the reality now, which is it has come to PC. So now Call of Duty has become pay to win, whether in one way, shape, or form it is. So what is annoying to me is, even with bad internet, which I've always had prior to this year, what is bad to me is a player being able to sit on a head glitch, aim down a sight with a better monitor than me, with a better headset, with a mix amp Astro, with this, that, the other, and simply see me first, have 4, 5, 6 ping, and delete me, and me have no way to combat that. I would much rather have the movement to be able to combat their aim and potentially damage them, at the least damage them. That way another teammate from another angle can hurt them, than them sitting on the head glitch and making it more of a now internet battle as opposed to a movement battle. And I've used Halo 5 as an example before. With a higher kill time and higher movement like abilities, you are able to now narrow the skill gap if you become very good at those things. If you become very good at movement, if you become very good at, hopefully you're already aiming well, like now you can compete with people who you otherwise would not be able to simply put. So that's why I don't see the problem with any type of movement, because anyone can perform that movement if you learn it and practice it and become, habitual at it.
Right. And I guess, to be fair, you're looking at it through the lens of, online competition.
Totally.
And I do agree with you, but these people, they're looking at it from, LAN, everyone, all else equal. You know what I'm saying?
True. Good point.
So So they're just saying what might make the game better in their perspective.
For
But I
sure.
do agree with you.
For sure.
Or if it's on hard point and someone's snaking on a rotation, you run around that rotation, run around the corner, see someone bobbing their head up and down, you literally have to run around to a different section of the map because there is no chance you channeling it. Unless the person really messes up, there is no chance you channeling that heady when someone's snaking and winning the gunfight. But now it will be interesting to see how well this lasts, and especially if any players are going to break the GAs, especially when money's on the line.
That's another
People start playing
conversation.
These Major 1 tournaments where hundreds of thousands of dollars are on the line. We saw it last year.
I think you just have a good point there.
Started to use Loudness Equalization that had been GA'd before. I think it was Boston that actually ended up using Loudness Equalization mid-game during COD Champ. So even though they GA Snake, and you never know what teams are going to use
What's
it
sound
when
EQ?
money's on the line.
I've heard of that before. Well, sorry to interrupt.
Good point. So loudness equalization, some call sound EQ, is a setting on PCs, something that console players just simply do not have an option to have, where
Yep.
the lighter noises, if you will, or more quiet noises in the game now get equalized with the rest of the game. Does it affect other sounds? Yes, but in a game like Call of Duty, you want to hear the quiet things. That way you hear the reload. That way you hear the footsteps, potentially the bomb, the jump, the characters hurting themselves when they fall and land too hard, and you hear their legs go. You know what I mean? Like that's very beneficial. You get knowledge. You're able to know pretty much where they are. So loudness equalization is a setting you can put on your computer, and no less. If you know what you're doing, you can do it in 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and you're now able to hear noises that already exist in the game. It's not showing something that doesn't exist, but now it's raising that volume to a more to a higher, decibel level, so that you will hear it like first. You should be able to hear it first before the person without loudness EQ is using it. And it's something that's been a part of Windows 10 forever, you know what I mean? But now that we've moved to PC gaming, it's now relevant in Call of Duty. And it's one of those things where it's like, does he have it? He made a little too good of a read right there. He knew I was coming. So, he's got to have loudness EQ. Fuck this guy. You know what I mean? But unless you go into their processes or go into their sound settings on their Windows 10, Windows 11, there is no true way to know. But the pros, they do supposedly, it's G8 and they don't do it in tournaments. Well, like anything, people, if you're not cheating, you're not trying, and people are going to do what they can to win when money is on the line. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that
It's
is
just it's a competitive advantage.
right.
Just like in any other sport.
Most definitely.
And when the
Is it like
crunch time
spatial
rematch-
sound? Is that what it is, or is it different?
Yeah, something different. Joey wants to hop in on it. We'll have
I
to
thought we
discuss,
did
we'll have
try
to discuss
to get
off
you on that,
camera
actually.
later on. But
I believe Counter-Strike does something similar where if you crouch up and down, crouch and stand up, you get some sort of penalty or movement-based penalty to your character. So there's definitely a lot of the ways.
I do agree with what he's saying there. I do think that could solve the problem. It's a problem that I don't really have a problem with. I don't see an issue with it, because I'm going to adapt, and any good player will try to adapt to their surroundings. But he does have a good point. Sledgehammer could come out, make something, like he said, a penalty for snaking, or even going from prone to standing, or there could be, like he said, the figure 8 motion whenever you're moving too much. Now it's more difficult to aim. That could fix the problem, but the only way that's going to happen is the developers, and none of us, same for the pro players, none of them are the developers. So it's a little bit like a NFL quarterback getting mad at Roger Goodell because the rules don't suit him properly.
Right.
If you get what I'm saying.
Sledge-
But that's basically it. on to the next thing, which I would like to add. They talk about the single tap sprint, which Parasite kind of discusses, and for time's sake, etc. Single tap sprint is something being discussed about because
I use automatic tax sprint. I don't give a fuck.
I do use it as well. And what it's good for, and Parasite mentions it, is being evasive. A lot of people think that having the auto tax sprint is going to help you in your snaking. That is actually the opposite. The not auto tax sprint, but yes, that's what they say. Many pros agree with it. These are not pros, but ex-pros.
But the single tap. But the single
tap is the way you want to go if you want to snake most, optimally.
Efficiently, yeah.
Right. So now what the auto tax sprint does is now you're able to be more evasive, because what it does is it allows you to hit max acceleration, max speed immediately as soon as you move. So picture you laying down behind a cinder block or laying behind the bomb. Perhaps you're trying to lay behind the bomb, use it for cover, head glitch it, and you know you're going to get pressured by 2 players and you need to dip. The thing for auto tax sprint is now you're able to go from zero movement to full speed as quick as possible. That is the setting you want if that is your goal. And the good thing for it is evasiveness. Again, it's in the game. It's one of those things that if it can be controlled, it can be turned off. Potentially in custom games, you can have a setting where it's automatically one way, and every player in that custom games lobby can only, what did you say? Regular tax sprint, or what was it? The standing
automatic tax sprint.
But what was the thing you said, Roman?
The single tap.
Single tap, yeah. So the single tap would, that's what they're talking about here. So single tap being more successful for snaking. If you want the single tap, it could be a certain way. If you want the auto tack, you can make it such. But it's another thing where different players are going to want different things. And just because someone opposes what you think should be the norm for Call of Duty, I don't think it's something you can really put your 2 cents in. If it's in the game and if it's allowed, then it is what it is. But that's what auto tax sprint does. It gets you to move to your max acceleration, max speed immediately, whereas single tap sprint, you're going to have to tap it again to hit your tactical sprint, and it could cost you an important millisecond here and there, or even a second if you do it incorrectly, etc., which I mean is true. But so they go in, they talk about it, snaking being a little bit more of the debacle going on right now.
Flasher said it in the chat.
I do agree more so with what Parasite is saying, but what I would like to hear and get your guys' opinion is Ake's, what he has to say about it. Essentially, let's see if I can find it. Ake's goes into detail on why his era of gaming, he is no longer a pro anymore, is better, and there were more quote-unquote gentlemen, because in his era of gaming, they didn't have a problem in teams agreeing on certain things and doing or not doing certain things.
That's part of it.
Here we go.
Pretty much said that they don't want to ruin
Let's see what he says to say.
for casuals by adjusting like the movement or like the snaking, but I'm not really too sure how adding a cooldown can make things feel clunky or affect a casual player. If anything, I think it's going to make the experience better for a casual player. But Pat, what do you think?
I actually disagree. I think snaking can be GA'd. I think where the problem lies is that the players that are in the league now have came up on snaking. Like that is all they basically know. That's all they've been doing the last 4 or 5 years. Whereas before, I just posted a Modern Warfare 3 gameplay from literally 2011. I'm sure if you go back and you play those old titles, can you snake? If you tried to, yeah, you probably could. But back then, no one did. It was just a thing that no one did because we literally didn't play that way. Like we didn't play to do the cheesy stuff like that. If you were on a heady, you go prone behind it, but you don't just sit there and snake up and down, up and down, up and down, and try and get a split timing where you can pop up while the enemy stops shooting or sprints or whatever, where they can't shoot you. So, to that extent, I think it's totally possible for every pro in the league right now to play without snaking, but every single one of them would have to basically change the way they think about, how they play behind cover. And I think that's the biggest issue is that, we've let it slide so long for so many years that a majority of the players in the league now grew up on snaking. So they don't really, I'm not saying they would be ass without it, but it's ingrained into their play style. And I think that's one of the biggest issues, is that they're all so used to it and that's just how they play. I think the downside of the gentleman agreements argument is we're now, whether we like it or not, in a league where there's not really any gentlemen anymore, which I think is the problem.
Not any gentleman anymore, which I think is the problem. We can let him talk a little bit more here, but kind of something that I thought initially watching this is, since when was Call of Duty about sportsmanship? Since when did anyone competing for money care about being a sportsman, like being a nice guy to each other? Octane, Zuma, Parasite, probably Aches as well. When you get passionate, if you're competing, if you're playing for 6 digits, 5 digits even, hell, 4 digits, you're gonna get hyped up. You're gonna want to beat your competition. And that's how these people got where they are. They got where they are, not because they were quote unquote gentlemen. I feel like Aches is taking a very high ground here and claiming, oh, well, back in my day, we were all gentlemen and we didn't play like that. Well, guess what? It's different. Are you going to say that people now, because they want to be in the position that these people were, or where the pros currently are, that they're going to be frowned upon or considered unsportsmanlike, or be reprimanded for breaking these quote unquote GAs because these guys, who back in my day it wasn't relevant because we were all gentlemen? Like, again, like, I'm sure he's a great player. I know he is. But to any of these people to take the high ground and say, back in my day, we were gentlemen, is bullshit, because I know there's clips of all of them standing up in their chair after a good play, yelling at each other, dying and being, what's the word? Being, pissed off basically at each other. Yes, belligerent is a good way to put it. At each other for dying or being belligerent for killing. That is what makes the competitive juices flow. That's why people like esports. That's why people like regular sports. And for them to take a high ground and try to claim, oh, well, we wouldn't do this. And because Aches in my little brain, I believe that we shouldn't do it because it kind of breaks the game. You're literally just admitting that you're not going to adapt. And you're saying that these players who are in the position where they are less than, not gentlemen. They're less than gentlemen because they want to win and compete and get the $600,000 check that you have sitting right behind you. They want that. So when they're trying to climb up the mountain and you're already at the top of the mountain and you're trying to judge them for getting where you are and what you have.
It's easy for him to say that.
Exactly.
Everyone obviously has their own motives, their own, there's selfish interest across the league. It has nothing to do with who would be good or bad without it. That's kind of irrelevant. But we're just in a league where mindsets of the players are just simply different.
What do you have to say? Mindsets of the players are simply different than when he played. Oh, when we played, we were gentlemen.
And so you can't go about making reasonable agreements like that because there's just not reasonable people to make them with. On the developer side,
they're not even explaining why that's reasonable. Why is that even a reasonable thing to ban?
Just because he thinks, in his opinion, that it's better and it's gonna do this, it's gonna do that, only because he thinks it is. That's the problem with this whole GA shit. Is, like
honestly,
I said before,
if you take the results of non-snaking and snaking, I feel like it'd be the same. Same
Exactly.
results. I think the best
Honestly.
team wins no matter
Exactly.
100%. 100%. That's pretty much everything. But any last remarks? Yeah, we kind of went through a lot of things here. Talked about the statistics and talked about we got to see kind of the facts behind it all in terms of what they spoke about, in terms of how many players are able to vote and how many players have a say so in this quote unquote GAing of things, which in all honesty, even if the things are GA'd and they GA many things, I will say, at least when it's pertaining to me, if you catch me in a GB, well, goodbye to GB. If you catch me in a CMG, if you catch me on ranked, if you catch me in any of these things, guess what? I am going to use the best things and the best movement to win, period. I don't give a fuck what he has to say. I don't, and I don't give a fuck about what these people have to say. 1v1 me, and because if you're not competing, if you're not trying to win, and you're not doing the things to do that, then you're limiting yourself, you're limiting your teammates, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your money, you're wasting your teammates' time, you're wasting your teammates' money, all because you want to
They're
quote
asking
unquote be a
people-
gentleman.
They're asking people to hold back,
100%.
which is just not it's not a competitive mindset. We're talking about mindsets here.
Facts.
what. I don't get how they got all those teams to agree to it, to be honest.
Honestly.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. They talk about a lot. They go into casual. They talk about the developers and how they can step in. And a lot of these people are in direct contact with the developers. And do your best to do that. Go do whatever you're going to do. You're in the position to make decisions. Use your opinion and go do what you're going to do because you're in a position I am not. But until it is implemented into the game, I am going to do what I can in order to beat this guy who has a room, who just in this picture alone is probably thousands of dollars. In this picture, including his PC, including this, they have rooms that are worth more than my net worth. So why am I going to abide by these people who have, they've done great. They're great players. They've gotten to where they are. But now they're telling me, the guy trying to climb up the mountain, no, buddy, stay down there. You're not gonna snake and do these things that I don't like. And you're gonna stay at the bottom of the mountain where I'm gonna stay at the top because, oh, look at me, I won this and I won this. They're not allowing for progression. They're not allowing for the Call of Duty community. They're not allowing for the literal Call of Duty developers to go into the future, which is going to be different from the past. And it's a little bit crazy to me. I know for a fact all these people played to their best of their ability when they were pros to win money. He's won tournaments. I'm sure Octane has. I know Aches has. They've all won number one positions in tournaments, probably Zuma as well. And they did not do that by being gentlemen. I can promise you that. So, any last remarks pertaining to Modern Warfare 3 in general, GAs, CDL, anything?
No.
Well,
should cap it off with the GB gameplay.
Cap it off. Let's get a dub. And I will try to give you an example or two of a good snake. All right. That is it. I'm signing out. That was Medicine and J Loop in the chat. You already know. What do you have to say about that? Let me know in the comments below. But just had to get some thoughts out there. And you already know. Follow me. The Twitch will be down below. Profound Pharaoh. Hit me up. Join the Discord. Let's run some 8s. Let's run some ranked. Hopefully when ranked comes out. And let me know your opinions down below. And without any further ado, thank you for tuning in. It's been your boy Jero. Find me on the ladders. Find me in ranked play. This is Jero signing out. Peace.